If you've been a starter long enough, then you would have seen about a year and a half ago where I released a video that was focusing on emotional intelligence and used Nota Baloyi as a case study. That video actually caught Nota's attention and he asked me to interview him. In fact, he offered his clout to help grow my channel. And at the time, I was pretty excited about it. And we had an almost 2-hour discussion. And that interview actually did well as well here on YouTube. Now, I'm not making this video to highlight what that video had achieved. Rather, I'm making this video to highlight what I've noticed. So for the longest time, I had seen Nota as this toxic guy. On first encounter, you may just like him. After all, he is an intelligent dude. But in the long run, you may just consider him a tad bit toxic. To the point where I unfollowed him on Twitter, now X. And having unfollowed him, it was after our interview, after our interactions. He even called me soon after that interview and we had a long cell phone discussion around picking each other's brains a bit and dabbling on a few topics, but we weren't seeing eye to eye. And then I stopped following him completely, except on the Hustler's Corner where he was being interviewed by DJ Sbu. DJ Sbu did catch a lot of smoke for giving Nota the platform. I mean, at the time of recording this video, DJ Sbu has had 17 published YouTube video sit-downs with Nota. More than he's had with Penuel the Black Pen on the platform they started together, the virtual 𝐌𝐿𝐷𝐿𝐿. And a lot of people didn't like the fact that DJ Sbu, being a 𝐌𝐿𝐷𝐿𝐷 was actually giving Nota the platform to voice out issues and whatever. And there was a time Penuel the Black Pen was also giving Nota a platform. It looks like that interview was taken down though. I can't see it anywhere on the Penuel show. And many other small YouTube channels that had ambitions of becoming large podcast derivatives of other large podcasts, and they tried to push, and Nota actually hopped from one podcast to another, and there was a time when you couldn't be on YouTube without seeing Nota on YouTube. So I stopped following him on these public platforms because I felt there was a lot of toxicity. So I distanced myself from negativity. Then it so happened that in this past week, DJ Sbu was in New York.
Podcast in New York. My name is DJ Sbu. A lot is happening in New York.
And he posted an episode of him and Nota. Nota now stays in New York. Because I haven't been following him, I wasn't privy, I wasn't up to date. But I was like, let me give this episode a chance. And to be honest with you, I'm quite happy. My observation is not necessarily that Nota may have changed, but at the same time, I can give him the benefit of the doubt. The level of maturity displayed in that podcast episode, of course, the information sharing, Nota was always about information sharing. He's well versed in so many topics, and he's able to take bits and pieces of information, piece them together, and tell a cohesive story that provides us the opportunity to learn. He, at the time when me and him were actually talking and bickering a bit, he said, or he introduced me to a YouTube channel called School of Life. Now I've watched a couple of videos over time on that channel, and I've actually learned a lot from that channel. So kudos to Nota for that. But back to the topic at hand. So Nota could have changed for the better. For the better. I feel we may have misread him. We may have misread his intentions. And the reason we did that was because
he was wilding out. He was doing a lot of things that a lot of us didn't understand. And so at the time, we couldn't give him benefit of the doubt. But in this episode, he was mellow. He was chilled. He was a good listener. He didn't make points just to be right. He made points to teach. He made points for us to learn. He made points and was discussing with DJ Sbu to the point where even when he disagreed or had a different view or perspective, he didn't do it in a disrespectful way at all. Of course, he has a bit of a different approach when it comes to DJ Sbu, but even if you watch their previous episodes and you compare them to this latest episode, you can see a level of maturity that I feel he wasn't displaying. So not that it wasn't there, but I feel he wasn't displaying it. And so going to the topic of Nota, it's not just about Nota. It's about the lessons that we can take, or at least the lessons that I have extrapolated from their discussion and my observation and my analysis of not only Nota, but his demeanor, his approach, his level of intellect, and also the seemingly consistent wording of saying he wants to put Africa on the map and us as black people, he wants us to benefit. One of the lessons that I learned is that one must be flexible. One must not be rigid. One must be open to the views of people that you may not like. One must be open to the views of people that may be different to you. One must be open to the visions of other people. And then from your perspective, you can come back and assess. You can come back and look at it from your own perspective. Then maybe they will intertwine or interlink at a particular point in your viewing experience of the situation. So that's lesson number one, just being flexible enough to be open-minded and see what the other person has to offer. Lesson number two is do what DJ Sbu did. Give a fella a chance. Give the person a chance. Allow him to make his mistakes, but still be able to give him the platform to be able to voice out his opinion and his teachings, and give that person a chance. Some people may have wronged you in the past. Forgive them. Some people may have not seen things the way you see them. Forget about it. Give a person a chance, and again, do not be one-dimensional about it. Be sure to approach things from a variety of perspectives and viewpoints. Another lesson is mature with time. If indeed my analysis is correct, then it means that with time, the maturity comes. But not only you maturing with time, but also go to different environments. And based on how you've been shaped and molded into your growing phases, in that alternate environment, be sure to bring out a different you. He said that he's starting from zero, that side, purposefully so. So he does have a network of people that he's known over the years and built relationships with. But when DJ Sbu asked him, why aren't you actually putting yourself out there and making sure people know who you are and what you've done, he said he wants to start from zero, that side. He wants to approach things from a different perspective, and he wants to earn people's respect of who he is and what he's done. And he said actually it's not about what he's done, but rather what he's doing and what he's aiming to do.
Another lesson is that Nota, being Nota, is someone who always seeks out knowledge, always seeks out to learn, is always chasing the high of knowing more. But not only that, be like him in the essence of sharing the knowledge that you acquire. There are so many platforms. So instead of building his own platform, Nota went the route of jumping from platform to platform, not only to build those platforms because he was targeting those that don't have a high following, but also on
high-ranking platforms on YouTube, on Twitter, and so on, so as to share the knowledge. So acquire the knowledge, learn, be meticulous and pedantic in the way in which you want to approach the spreading of that knowledge, then share that knowledge after you've ascertained the approach that you want to take. So be someone who values knowledge, but not only values knowledge, shares that knowledge, and not only shares that knowledge, but applies that knowledge and encourages other people who learn in the same breadth and weight as you to apply the knowledge as well. Another thing is allow people to change. Allow people to change. There were some comments that were going back to his feud with DJ Black Coffee, yes. And people were saying, after all the insults that Nota had hurled at DJ Black Coffee and everything else, now he's done this complete 180 and he's talking differently and saying different things around DJ Black Coffee. And those things are positive now, right? Those things are not the things of conflict or a lack of support or anything like that. He sees Black Coffee as a South African doing big things, Madison Square Garden, and he's celebrating that accolade. So regardless of what a person does in the past, if he comes around and actually does something, okay, I can't say regardless, I take that back, it's not regardless, but be able to gauge the level of negative impact or positive impact that a person does through what they say and also their actions. And then from there, when they do a turnaround, be able to gauge. As I'm doing indirectly in this video, I'm gauging my own viewpoint of 𝐌𝐿𝐷 and actually trying to see whether that emotional intelligence and where I ended off with that previous video, whether it's still applicable right now. Then going back to emotional intelligence, I'm hoping that indeed Nota has matured from an emotional intelligence point of view, so that his mission that he keeps preaching about can be more receptive. Some of us who don't like the toxic approaches will not hear the message clearly, will not aspire to share that message as in the same breath that he wants to share it. So it's important to actually encompass a culture where you are emotionally mature and people can hear what you're saying and not focus on how you're saying it. There's a number of instances, if you go back to that video that I did around emotional intelligence and using Nota as that case study, you'll see the instances that I'm talking about where the focus was rather on what he was doing and not necessarily on what he was saying and the message and the foundation of what he's all about and what he was trying to push. So I'm hoping that I'm right and indeed Nota has changed. But the biggest thing is that only time can tell. Never stop learning. Never stop growing. Explore new worlds. And then teach. Yes, never stop learning, never stop growing, explore new worlds, and then teach. I hope you took something from this video. And I hope that I'll see you on the next one, my starters. I love and appreciate you.